Hello, adventurer. It's good to see you. You have made it to the morning grind.
Welcome, welcome.
It's the live stream at the beginning of the Geekverse, where we talk about all types of topics in geekdom, gaming, and fantasy, with an emphasis on being constructive and creating the things that we want to exist in the world.
It's all on the grind, Sizemore. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
That's exactly right. There are a lot of adventures to be had today. Dungeons to explore and monsters to slay, and who knows what a random encounter might send our way. That's why we have to prepare, so settle in now for the morning grind with your favorite beverage in hand.
Tea? Or maybe something a little stronger. I've got a few bottles of the old Wynyard left.
Whatever you want. Pull up a chair.
Dude.
If you're feeling fancy, how about a cappuccino? Or a frappuccino? Or how about an espresso?
Just tea, thank you.
Sounds good to me, Gandalf. Whatever you want. I'm just glad you're here.
Everyone is welcome. You can just watch if you want. You don't have to worship anything you don't want to worship.
Thank you, Mike. But be forewarned.
Sometimes we get really strange characters around here.
Wait, what's that you say? Why can't you come and be a part of the stream?
My wife would disown me.
Oh no, I bet she'll be fine with it. Come on in.
Am I scared for my safety? No.
What are we supposed to do?
Everybody do the secret handshake.
Secret cultist handshake.
Oh, now do wizards who love each other.
This, my friend, is a science.
I still don't have gifts, but it's fine.
It's all on the grind, son. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
Dude, this would be a sick place to bring the band.
Indeed it would be, Dave. It really would. I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome, glad to have you here. Oh look, here's someone new.
Is this the cultist meetup?
Yes it is.
Come to hang out? Please accept me. I have nothing else.
Okay, we accept you. Everyone's welcome here.
Brought some snacks.
Well, that makes things even better.
You want some coffee?
I don't drink coffee.
You sure? It's cultist coffee.
What makes it cultist coffee?
I'm a cultist and I'm drinking it.
Oh. Then I'll have some.
What exactly is going on here?
I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome. It's so great to have you. Oh, and look, here comes another stranger.
Can we help you?
Yes, fellow cultists. I could really use some food.
Oh yeah? Welcome. We have donuts.
Oh, it's me. I'm glad I'm here. I'm sure you have a few questions for me, though.
What's your name? Who do you work for? What god do you worship?
Great questions, Rob.
I'm Steve King, and I worship Nyarlathotep.
No, not really. I'm just Heath, and I won't be worshiping anything this morning. But I will be your host. Welcome to the office. We're going to have a great time. I've got my coffee ready, because now it's time for the morning grind.
If you could become a fish, that would be amazing. Then I could command you with my mental fish powers.
Look, I got it. Oh, okay. All right. I was having trouble pairing a camera this morning. Okay, so here we go. Let's see if we can't zoom in a little bit right here. Well, maybe I can't. I think my camera dropped. Maybe I'm back. I wonder why I'm putting the logo up there. I'll have to look into that. Hey, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Hope everybody is doing great. Hey, BGD. Good morning. We've got Tomocrat. Good morning. And Burton, Brett. I went over to Doug for a moment there. Good morning, Brett and Mike. Hey, hope everybody is doing great. Hey, Charlie. Yeah, I realized that I've had this for a while, but we haven't actually gotten to look at it. And I got it because I was told that it's I mean, it kept coming up when I was looking for inventory and equipment systems. So this is Torchbearer right here. So we're gonna take a look at this right up here today. I've got to get my technology set back. I never really got back with the technology when I had that loss of, well, the USB port and then a hard drive. Reset my whole system back up and back. Let's try again. We'll see. Testing, testing, testing. Okay, I think I'm back. Okay. Hey, Michael. Good morning. Good morning. Okay, so let's see here. So we're not launching this morning. Last Sunday, I did not. I ended up going back to sleep after the morning grind. Did work after after I got back up, but I went to sleep after that on Sunday, and then had a bunch of running around I had to do on Tuesday, including getting a haircut and stuff like that. And so it was gone all afternoon on that was Monday. So basically, I'm back to work today. So but we have I put out a few different advertisements or reels to be used as advertisements on Facebook as kind of a final round of letting people know that the cultist is coming. And I've been paying real close attention to the metrics and numbers on them to like re-edit. So I'm going to look at that again when this live stream is over, trying to look at, okay, how do you actually make a good reel? How do you make something that people can look at? What kind of metrics are you getting? One of them had like an average of a 15-second watch time was pretty good, but I'm taking a look at what percentage of the people are watching after 3 seconds, 5 seconds. What's the average, view time? So, to be able to make something that people actually want to watch. I mean, I feel like that would be some real power if we can get to that point. I put out 2 of those so far. I thought last night after I put it out, I was like, okay, I think I could do one more edit of that. I think I have another idea. So I've been putting out. So I'm going to put that out. I'm going to see how that goes. Yeah, I know. I'm like from the mirror universe, right? This is mirror universe, Heath. I'm still experimenting with this. We'll see. I don't know. It's going to stay around for a little bit longer, but I don't think this is a permanent thing. But anyway, so that's that. I got most of the Kickstarter page ready, but I still would like to be able to see something on that. I know. I used camo. No, that's the camera system that I use, and I've used that for every live stream that I've ever done. And for some reason, in the last couple of times, I've noticed that it's putting the watermark up on there, and I don't know why. So for some reason, the watermark is there, and I'm going to have to, I guess that goes with the complete reset. I don't know. Why would all of a sudden, or is there just like some type of something that got reset that puts the watermark on there? Or actually, what about, yeah. Oh, look. Okay. For some reason, I guess this is everything being reset. So I guess there was just some type of whatever that went with the adding in the camo watermark. The camo watermark. It's gone now. All right. So that's basically what's going on. I'm gonna try to make one more reel as well about the Cthulhu ABCs book. And post it as well. I was also working this morning on the re-edit of You Can't Summon Cthulhu with Sour Cream and Onion. I wanted to kind of re-edit that song. I did a I have submitted that to the songs, like people have been asking, to the distributor to put it up on Spotify and iTunes and all that. I got an email 2 days ago that they had reviewed the music and they had a problem with it. They had a problem with it because I called it the Cultists soundtrack or something. I had the term soundtrack in it, and it's like the Cultist soundtrack. But it didn't like that. It said that in order to be a soundtrack, I had to actually like officialize it in some way. You know, of course, the cultist main theme is on there that Sky wrote, but it had a problem with the soundtrack. That's like a technical term that, okay, you can't say that. So instead, I had to revise the title of the submission to like music inspired by the cultist web show, which is fine. So I made that submission and then I resubmitted. So that was going on over there. But since I had the remaster and also the new tech, that was back in October when I had made that original video, I kind of wanted to use the new tech that's come out to make a new video. So I was working on that this morning. I think it's really good. And did anybody see yesterday? I saw that the Gen 2 dropped, not Gen 2, Act 2, Runways Act 2 dropped. Did anybody see that? That looks amazing. If you have not seen that, it's basically motion capture. I used Act 1 for the Jingle Bell Cthulhu because I was the lead singer for Jingle Bell Cthulhu, like doing the animation for it. I recorded myself singing it, and then I ran it through Act 1 in order to animate the 1950s Cult of Dagon guy. And it looked, good for the time. Looked okay. Looked very good for the time. I was like excited about that. But now, of course, Act 2 is out, and man, that looks basically incredible and also has full body motion capture to it. So the ability to act yourself and then have that applied to a character, I think it's going to become incredible. I want to try that out. It may not have actually been released on our accounts yet, but anyway, we'll see. Oh, so Mike said the new short you did was great. I commented on it. I was thinking if I commented on it, it might reach more people. It might. Yeah. I mean, I would like to be able to make something that kind of takes off. The new short actually did get more organic traction. I was looking at that this morning when I woke up. I didn't look at all my numbers, but the last short I did, and I just released it on Facebook. I didn't release it on YouTube, but got like 2,600 views overnight, organically or algorithmically. I would say algorithmically. But yeah, so I also didn't completely understand. I got to look at all the numbers before I do another edit. I didn't completely understand, like, okay, so why is this one doing well and this one did not, even though this one has certain better metrics? I don't know. So I still think that's an important skill. Making something that people will pay attention to, especially with shorts being such a big thing. I think it would help. I think it would help out everything, including like Brianna. While she's trying to do her films and things like that. Hey, let's breathe and sip. I've got the cultist mug, the cultists. It's the fish do not drink tea mug. Let's breathe and sip, and then let's take a look at Torchbearer here for a little while. I'm going to take 2 deep breaths, deep inhales, complete exhales, and then take a sip of our favorite beverage. Let's breathe. And sip. It is. But, on the other hand, I don't mind paying for advertisement. I don't have a whole lot of cash for that right now, but I don't mind paying for advertisements. But it's got to be cost effective. And that just has not been the case lately. So if I make better videos, even, if they're advertised, then hopefully the advertising cost should drop and get to someplace eventually that's reasonable. Hey, RPG. Good morning. So let's bring up Torchbearer. There we go. We got I'll bring this lamp closer. Okay. So I don't have all my lights ready. Let's see. Okay. Oh, hey, Drew. Welcome. So, all right, Torchbearers. I mean, what is this one about? Oh, I see something that I didn't even know. I haven't even read this back yet. I just see right here, based on the award-winning Mouse Guard role-playing game, Torchbearer is a riff. That's different from Mouse Ritter. When I saw Mouse, I thought Mouse Ritter. I didn't know that. But this is Mouse Guards. That's different. I haven't looked at that one. But it says, it is a nice looking book cover. Yes, it is. Based on the award-winning Mouse Guard role-playing game, Torchbearer is a riff off early model of fantasy role-playing games. In it, you take on the role of a fortune-seeking adventurer. To earn that fortune, you must delve into forlorn ruins, brave terrible monsters, and revive forgotten treasures. However, make no mistake, this game is not about being a hero or about fighting for what you believe. This game is about exploration and survival. You may become a hero, you might have to fight for your ideals, but to do either of those things, you must prove yourself in the wilds. Because there are no jobs, no inheritance, no other opportunities for your deadbeat adventurers. This life is your only hope to prosper in this world. Okay. No, I think it is gold foiled. No, mine is gold foiled. Like that right there. So that's a gold foil, at least on mine. I can feel it recessed. It's a recessed gold foil right there. At least on the copy that I got. I really want to take a look at the inventory and stuff like that. But let's since we don't know anything about it, let's come up with just a little bit about how to play as far as what its rules are. If we can find, okay, structure of play. Like, I'm not sure. This looks like, okay, dice in terms, because I'm not sure what kind of dice it does. Torchbearer, it says, uses common 6-sided dice. I'm scared to touch my microphone because as soon as I do, it goes out. Okay, there we go. Torchbearer uses common 6-sided dice for all rolls. In order to decide the outcome of uncertain events during the game, we roll handfuls of dice, usually 3 to 6, so that we're not doing D20 here. The number of dice depends on how skilled your character is in a particular area, how much help you have, and a few other considerations. In each roll, every die counts as its own result. It's either a yes or a no. A yes is called a success. The more successes, the better. Any die that comes up as a no result is a hindrance to your cause and doesn't count towards success. We call those dice scoundrels. They're bad for business. A 4, 5, or 6 result is a success. After the dice are rolled, count up all your successes. A 1, 2, or 3 result is a scoundrel. Rolling a handful of 5 dice, it says over here, my luck gives me a 1, 2, 2, 4, 5. 2 of the dice came up 4 or higher, thus I rolled 2 successes. The rest are scoundrels. When you roll dice, you will need successes in order to pass the tests before you end the game. Obstacles are integral to the game. A difficulty of a test is often described as the obstacle. Okay, so the difficulty of the test. Obstacles are descriptive: a steep climb, a rusty lock, an angry dog, but they're also described as a number, usually 1 to 10. The number attached to the obstacle tells you how many successes you need to roll in order to pass the test. If the rusty lock is an obstacle of 4, you have to roll 4 successes on a criminal skill to pass the test and open the lock. Here's some of the art that Better with Bacon was just talking about. The artwork is fantastic throughout. Twist or condition. If you fail a test, you do not succeed. Instead, the GM introduces a twist or gives you a condition in exchange for what you want. I guess that's failing forward kind of thing. If you fail a test, you do not succeed. Instead, the GM introduces a twist or gives you a condition in exchange for getting what you want. Plus 1D or plus 2D, plus 1 or plus 2D, etc. means you add the indicated number of dice to your ability or skill when you roll the dice. If you see a notation for just 2D, that means 2 dice. We've got negatives as well. Plus S. The plus S notation indicates that a number of bonus successes are applied to successful or tied rolls, never to failed rolls. So plus 1S means that if you have passed or tied the test, add another success to your total. Minus S, opposite. Reroll 6. Some rules in the game allow you to re-roll a die that comes up as 6. When using these rules, leave the die that rolled a 6 on the table so that it can be counted. Pick up a new die and roll it for your bonus die. So it's like a bonus die on a 6. Okay. Margin of success. As you read on, you'll see the term margin of success. For example, reduce your opponent's disposition by your margin of success. Margin of success is a game term that means count each extra success over what you needed to use and use that number. Margin of failure, I guess the same thing, but in reverse. So, do we have a character sheet to look at? Is this a character sheet? Looks like it. Okay, so we have on our character sheet name, stock, class, age, home, raiment, belief, goal, instinct, parents, mentor, friend, enemy, level, alignment. It's actually a lot on this character sheet right here. Abilities, health, will, nature, resources, might. This does have a very kind of old school kind of feel to it. This kind of reminds me of the MERP RPG character sheet. Fate, persona, conditions. Conditions include fresh, hungry and thirsty, angry, afraid, exhausted, injured, sick, and dead. Skills over here include alchemist, arcanist, armorer, cartographer, commander, cook, criminal, dungeoneer, fighter, haggler, healer, hunter, lore master, manipulator, mentor, oracle, pathfinder, persuader, writer, ritualist, scavenger, scholar, scout, survivalist, and theologian. Okay. This is creating a character. Well, let's create a character. Here's your life. Instinct. If your instinct is triggered, you get a free roll of the dice. If your instinct helps your group, then you get rewarded. Your core abilities consist of will, health, nature, and might. Will is your mental strength. It's rated from 1 to 6. Use it to recover from being angry and afraid, to resist mental assault, and as a base for social skills like persuader and manipulator. Health is your physical strength. It's rated from 1 to 6. Use it to perform mundane tasks like running and holding the door shut against the goblins while your friends escape. It's also the basis for many skills like fighter and sailor. Nature is your center. It's the inescapable fact of who you are. It consists of a rating from 0 to 7 and 3 descriptors. The descriptors indicate what you can do with your nature. Anything that can be applied to one of these descriptors can be tackled with nature. Nature is volatile, though. It limits how quickly you learn, and should it ever fall to 0 or remain too long at 7, you lose your taste for life and quit. You have 2 town abilities. Has anybody played this one? Circles and resources. Resources represent your connections, your contacts, and your ability to find people. You find people to work with you, to answer questions, or to help out. The ability is rated from 1 to 10. Some say that resources is what this game is all about. Without resources, you live in an alley and eat rats. With resources, you buy gear, hire help, and live like a king. This ability is rated from 0 to 10, and loot can be piled up on top of that for a temporary lift, but watch out for taxes. Might describes where you stand in the natural or unnatural order of things. People of your ilk, warriors, wizards, etc., are rated a 3. This can be improved through magic, levels, and powerful artifacts. If you ever leave life, your might is reduced to 2. If you ever leave the life, okay, I guess that's the life of adventurer. The scale from goes to 1 to 8, so there's plenty for bigger, badder critters out there. This ability is never rolled. Okay, let's skip over creating an adventurer for the moment. Mike says, I've heard of it and I'm familiar with Burning Wheel Gold Edition, from which Mouse Guard gets its basic systems, but I've never played this game, but I'd like to try it. Traits, abilities. Skills. Says like carpenter Suggested help for carpenter, laborer, and alchemist. Beginner's luck for carpenter, health. Suggested help. Each skill is listed with one or two other skills that are closely related. Use those skills when offering and accepting help for a test. The GM may add one other skill to that list as related to the situation. And of course, you can always help with the same skill. Other skills may not help. A player may not make suggestions of possible alternatives, and players may not make suggestions for possible alternatives. So if you're trying to help with dungeoneering, I guess suggested help for dungeoneer, criminal, laborer, scout, survivalist. Supplies are expendable items that provided plus 1d bonus to a specific skill for one roll. Most skills are listed with suggested supplies. So, for example, dungeoneers can use supplies from carpenters, pulleys and levers, smiths, climbing gear, and weaver's rope. Let's see what healer says. Better with Bacon says, I like resource consideration and micromanagement as an outlet for role playing. I find verisimilitude in mundanity. So healer says, the healer helps adventurers whole and healthy. Helps keep adventurers whole and healthy. A healer can use supplies from alchemists, peasants, and scavengers in the form of herbs and medicine. A healer can also create poultices and potions to aid in recovering from angry, afraid, exhausted, injured, or sick conditions. Poultices grant a plus 1d to recovery tests when the appropriate condition and count as supplies for will and health tests for recovery. Suggested help for a healer is alchemist, beginner's luck for healer, will. Okay, here is the inventory system. So let's take a look at that. That's what Better with Bacon was just talking about, resource consideration and management. So let's see how it does this. Because like when I was looking up, like, so what's the best kind of, best inventory system, which is of course hugely subjective, but Better with Bacon kept coming up with this. Did I say Better with Bacon kept coming with interest in the inventory and stuff like that? But when you look online, it seems like Torchbearer comes up often, but it's difficult to get. So that's why I bought it. But it's been a while since it's been sitting on my shelf. So it says, we leave town with full packs and full bellies, thinking that we've got all of the right tools to get the job done and enough rations to get us through. But then the plan takes longer than expected. Food runs out, gear wears out and breaks, and we always wish we packed that one extra item. So location, time, and space. Location, item, and space. In Torchbearer, your character can carry a limited number of items. There are 6 inventory locations: head, neck, hands, torso, belt, and feet. I was thinking about that. If you're crafting some type of system, like Diablo has a whole bunch of different places to put things. Your inventory locations, and they're kind of like your body slots, right? Slot sometimes means something different, but these are the locations. If you're designing a system like that, one thing you could do is just restrict it, or trying to develop a whole list of items for a system. Restricting the location where items can go is probably a good idea. This says head, neck, hands, torso, belt, and feet. So, that, I guess that doesn't mean you can't have it doesn't mean you can't have an earring or that earrings don't exist in that world, but that you're not going to consider that for a important item that you're carrying. If this helps you, I think this should help you balance, like, if you get, your gloves give you +1 to attack power or something like that. You don't also have like rings or something, or the earring that gives you something. So you don't have to worry about their interactions. You're much more standardized. Hey, Dungeon Master. Good to see you this morning. So each location can hold a limited amount of equipment. Head and neck each have 1 slot. Okay, so different locations have different slots. Head and neck each have 1 slot. Hands can hold 2 worn items and 2 carried items. The torso has 3 slots. Your belt has 3 dedicated slots for your weapons, your pouch, and your water skin. And of course, you can wear something on your feet. A backpack or satchel worn on the torso increases the number of items you can carry. You can also carry small and large sacks in hand to further expand your equipment slots. Each piece of gear or loot is limited with an inventory requirement. How many slots it requires and where it can be packed or worn. You'll find a diagram on the back of the character sheet that demonstrates exactly what a character can wear and carry. Okay, well, no, wait a minute. I didn't look at the back of that. This looks like what was down at the bottom of that page. But I think it's this right here. Okay, so inventory, head worn, neck worn, hands worn, carried. Torso has 3 worn. Belt, pouch, weapons, skin, and it's the contents, feet, worn. Okay, so one of these can become a backpack or a satchel. Backpack, worn, torso, worn 2. Factor for Dungeoneer and Fighter, satchel, torso, worn 1. Backpack or satchel gives you 3 here. And then this says, you may not be able to tell, but it says backpack only right here. Small sack, and large sack. Large sack requires 2 hands to carry full or 1 space when empty. That's our inventory diagram. So here, let's see. And you kind of see one filled out right here. Okay, so filled out here, we have head, helmet, neck, mother's cameo necklace, ID. Okay, hands, we're carrying a spear. Torso, we're wearing leather, worn a backpack, and another one is worn a backpack. So backpack must take up 2. I think I saw that, right? So, okay, so backpack is torso worn 2. It's a factor for Dungeoneering and Fighter. A satchel is just torso worn 1. So in the backpack, that gives us all of these slots. A cloak, it looks like cloak takes up 2 slots. A bottle of wine, which another bottle of wine. No, I guess it's when it's in parentheses, that means that it's one item that's taking up 2 slots. So the cloak and the bottle of wine takes up 2 slots. We have 4 torches in 1 slot, and we have rations press, PRES, looks like 3. Nothing in a small sack, large sack. Okay. I don't, what do we think about this? I mean, this seems interesting so far. I like slot-based inventories. And this one seems, there's a lot of them that's just like, hey, you get 4, or 10 slots or something. This is giving you a little bit more here. The Tabletop Scholar. Welcome, Tabletop Scholar. It says interesting, first edition. Okay, I didn't know there were multiple editions. So we're just taking a look at it right here. So basic rules. I mean, it probably won't say first edition if it is a first edition. That might be the difference with what you're talking about, Better with Bacon. Better with Bacon was saying that his didn't actually have the gold leaf on it. So maybe that's the second edition. It says copyright 2013. Okay, so this has been out for a while. Oh, no, it does. It actually says first edition, first printing, summer of 2013. So, yeah. Okay. Thank you for pointing that out, Tabletop Scholar. If anyone is interested in exactly what we're looking at, we are looking at first edition here. I just looked up Torchbearer and bought it. Oh, second E is an A5 size. Would you notice the size of the sheet of paper? The size of the book is what clued you in on edition size? On the edition. That's pretty cool. So, right over here. Okay, right here. A bottle is listed as pack 2 in the inventory list. It requires 2 spaces to carry either 2 hands or both slots. Okay, so it just told us to look at this diagram on the back sheet. Yeah, on the character sheet. Okay, when carrying an item, write it in the appropriate space on your inventory list. Some items, like spell books, require more than 1 space to carry. If so, write the item into multiple spaces. Oh yeah, A5. That's the. Oh yeah, that's A5 is the digest. Okay. I was thinking A5 is not like standard European size. That's what I was thinking. I was like, you told the difference between like an 8.5 by 11 and something else. So yeah, okay. So the other one is digest size. Michael says, have you ever done a deep dive of Dungeon Crawl Classics? Yeah, it has been a while, but we have gotten into Dungeon Crawl Classics. I think we spent a fair amount of time on it, actually. That was probably early on in the morning grind. But yeah, it is. We have done it. Both slots both slots of a satchel, small sack, or 2 spaces of a satchel backpack. So yeah, write it on 2 lines if it requires multiple spaces. Some items are small enough that multiples fit into a single space. For example, 4 torches may be bundled into 1 space. As these items get used and depleted, their space requirement does not. An item always requires at least 1 space in inventory. Skill gear, the inventory system for carrying expendable supplies, extra items, treasure, weapons, and armor. We assume, the inventory system is for carrying expendable supplies, extra items, treasure, weapons, and armor. We assume that you're carrying another 40 pounds of junk in addition to your adventuring gear. Space is so limited because the inventory system does not list every single item your character is carrying. Omitting all of these are the tools and special bits required to make use of your skills. Pots for cooking, a shovel for digging, paper for writing. Since you're assumed to have these items, you can use your skills. Don't worry about listing them in the inventory system. List only the extras and important stuff. What is XCC? Oh, that's the complete Dungeon Crawl complete collection. X Crawl Classics complete collection. Oh, I did not know about that. Oh, extreme Crawl Classics. Oh, I did not know that existed. Okay, so but skill list. So any item that requires is to use your skills you're assumed to already have. Backpacks and satchels. Your character may carry a backpack or a satchel. A backpack takes up 2 worn slots on your torso and holds 6 items. A satchel takes up 1 worn slot on your torso and holds 3 items. I'm kind of digging the system. I kind of want to know more about it with because I want the inventory system and what you're carrying to be meaningful. Wearing a backpack counts as a factor in fighting and dungeoneer tests. Better with Bacon says that the XCC is a new setting with new mechanics. It treats dungeoneering as an extreme sport, complete with spectators. There's a mechanic for gaining fans and supporters. Let's see, belt, pouch, and skin. Your character starts with a belt pouch and a wine or water skin. The pouch can hold any item listed as pack 1. The skin can hold water or wine. You must keep track of its contents and whether it is empty or full. A full skin is very important. Okay. Weapons. Each character's belt has a slot for a one-handed weapon or similar item. This is slung on your belt in a scabbard, quiver, by a hook or thong, or even just jammed into your belt. If you're not carrying a weapon on your belt, you can stick another appropriate item in this slot, such as a hatchet or a bunch of wolfsbane. A one-handed weapon is carried on the belt until it's needed for combat. In order to use the weapon for combat, you must have a free hand. If you don't have a free hand, you drop whatever you're holding in order to take up a weapon unless you state otherwise. Two-handed weapons can be carried by a single hand, but they may not be slung. This requires 2 hands to use in combat. If your hands are full when you engage in combat, you drop what you're holding in order to wield your weapon. Cloaks, gloves, boots, and jewelry. Clothing items may be worn in the slot provided. A cloak takes up a worn slot on the torso. Jewelry like necklaces, torques, and brooches are worn about the neck. A ring takes up 1 worn slot on the hands. Gloves take up both hands' worn slots. Pack items. Items listed as pack in the inventory are usually carried in your backpack. They can also be carried in your satchel, pouch, sacks, or hands. They may not be worn or slung over the torso unless otherwise specified. Sacks within sacks within sacks. If packing full sacks with other sacks, the bundle requires inventory space for all items. So a full small sack would take up 3 spaces in a large sack, 2 for the contents and 1 for the sack. If you packed a second bundle like that in the same sack, it only costs 2 more inventory slots, since small sacks only take up half a slot each, but you always round up for item slots. Carrying more. You can carry more than your inventory slots allow. To do so, use the factors described to the laborer's skill. If you pass your test, you haul what needs hauling. If you fail, the GM may apply a twist or condition. Tools. You have the bare minimum tools needed for your skills in your pack. Scrolls, inks, shovels, hammers, pots, pans, etc. That's why space is so limited. However, this doesn't mean you can build a ship or pull an anvil out of your sock. To fully utilize your skill for high obstacle tests, you'll need to be in town or a similar location. If a character lacks adequate tools for a job, treat this as a factor in the test. I'm guessing a factor is like a penalty. Tabletop Scholar says Torchbearer is one of the few games predating Shadow Dark where light is a timed diminishing mechanic. We'll check out the video later. All right, we'll see you later, Tabletop Scholar. I have heard that there's lighting is done interestingly here, so we may have to check out lighting once we look at the gear here. So supplies, spells, prayers, and nearly any skill can benefit from supplies. Each supply takes up 1 inventory, grants plus 1d to 1 roll, and is expended after use. Wear and tear. Your backpacker satchel, water skin pouch, or belt is available to start, but don't take them for granted. Even though they're printed on your sheet, you can still lose them as part of a twist from a failed test. Losing your water skin is bad. I speak from experience. So over here, for example, we've got gear. Without it, you're lost. Yet there's never enough of it when you need it. This chapter provides rules for gear, including cost, inventory, and special modifiers. In general, all gear is available in all towns, but the GM can limit specific items. For example, plate, armor, or crossbows may be limited to bigger, richer settlements. So armor, so like we've got chainmail armor. Cost, this says OB, obstacle, I guess, 1. Inventory slots, torso worn 1. Helmet is head worn 1. Plate armor, so that's obstacle 4. Torso worn 2. Clothing, cloak, obstacle 2. Worn on the torso 1. Hand or carried 1, or pack, it takes 2. Flask of oil, that's 2 of them, I guess. Obstacle 2. Hand carried 1, or pack 1. Tinderbox, obstacle 1, pack 1. Food, what is, that PR must have been preserved rations. Do they have the classic 10-foot pole? Let's find out. Mike says, the more I learn about this game, the more interested in the game I am. I think I do like this system. Water is free. Wine is obstacle 1. I mean, I'm guessing OB is obstacle. Skin bottle jug 1. Master gear list. Have we got the 10-foot pole? I don't see one. Candles, lantern, torch. Scroll, spell supplies, traveling spell book, holy symbol, prayer supplies, battle axe, bow, crossbow, hand axe. I don't see 10-foot pole. The cost for each item is the resources. The resources obstacle, or the obstacle was your target number, right? Resource obstacle to purchase it in the marketplace in town. Gear description. Armor obeys the following general rules. Armor reduces an attacker's successful or tied attack or feint action by -1 S. -1 success, right? Mike says, it seems to be aimed at precisely at what it's about, and its mechanics reinforce that. Armor benefits: kill, drive off, and capture conflicts only. Wearing chain or plate armor or carrying a shield in a fight increases the obstacle for recovery from the exhausted condition. Oh, this is all of our gear explanations. Okay, Okay, a bottle is a container for 2 draughts of water or wine. A jug holds 3 draughts of water or wine. We saw that. Belt pouch. All characters start with a pouch. By default, holds 1 item. Large sack, small sack. It says, wait, what is this? Small sack. Small sacks have 2 slots. Small sacks can come in pairs, and 2 sacks can be packed into 1 slot. Don't be confused by the inventory sheet. You don't get free small sacks hanging off your butt. You must pack them in empty in your pack and carry them home full. If you don't pack them, you don't have them. So if you want to bring home treasure, pack sacks. A satchel holds 3 items and is worn over the shoulder. Water skin, wine skin. All characters start with a water skin. By default, holds 1 draught of water or wine. Tinderbox allows you to light a fire without making a test under normal conditions. It also grants +1d to survivalist to start a fire in bad conditions. Oh, look. Okay, well, here's pole. Here's 10-foot pole. Using a pole gives +1d to scout test to detect appropriate trap triggers. So pole was someplace. Oh, right here, right here. I was looking over here. Master gear list. It's down here. So, yep, Mike, we got 10-foot pole. Pole 10 foot. Obstacle 1. Hand carried 2. It's there. Rope comes in 50-foot coils. It's incredibly useful and can be used in situations involving climbing, linking your group together, tying down unruly captives, and even starting fires. Stakes and mallet help you slay undead. So let's see what's going on with the food here. Because we said that rations PRS is preserved. So rations fresh. Fresh rations are good eaten. They're eaten, but that's EATIN apostrophe. They're bulky, but they can be preserved to last longer and take up less space. Cost in inventory is for enough food for 2 meals. A portion of fresh rations can easily be stretched by a cook to provide meals for your whole crew. Rations preserved. Pickled, salted, brined, dried, or smoked. Preserved rations don't taste great, but they're better than nothing. Cost in inventory is enough food for 3 meals. Water. 1 draught of water alleviates the hungry and thirsty condition. Requires a container like a skin or bottle. Wine. When consumed, 1 draught of wine eliminates the hungry and thirsty condition or grants +1d to recover from angry or afraid. Requires a container like a skin or bottle. Well, that's interesting. Yeah, Better with Bacon says, I really dig the design philosophy here. I like this actually, I like there to be a mechanical effect like this. The difference between water and wine here. If it's going to be listed, it needs to matter, right? You can say, oh, you can get, beer, ale, water, wine, whatever. Here are the costs. Okay. Does it matter? In most games, no, it doesn't matter. But here, okay, we're actually saying that you can have, and we haven't gotten to exactly, 1 draught, 1 meal, whatever. We haven't gotten to that yet. But I like that you've actually got an effect. Does it matter if you're carrying water or wine? It does. Light sources. Okay, we were talking about light a moment ago. Light sources, candle. A candle provides light for 1 character for 4 turns. Cost and inventory is for 4 candles. Lantern. A lantern provides light for 3 characters for 3 turns. Lanterns require oil for fuel. The oil must be acquired or purchased separately. See the flask of oil entry. Torches. A torch provides light for 2 characters for 2 turns. Cost and inventory is for 4 torches. In a pinch, a torch can also be used as a weapon. Let's see. Holy symbol, holy water. So, like, battle axe is a deadly 2-handed weapon that grants +1 success to attack, but suffers -1d to defend. A dagger, a successful maneuver with the dagger counts as a disarm against spear, polearm, halberd, sling, bow, or crossbow. You get in close and force them to use another tactic. Maces crush chainmail armor and bypass its protection. Maces also increase the likelihood that plate armor is damaged. So it's okay. It says weapons are described in terms of how they affect your skill, how they affect your actions and kill, drive off, and capture conflicts. Each is listed with a bonus or penalty to attack, defend, feint, and maneuver conflict actions. Conflict actions are defined in the conflict chapter. Outside of a conflict, a weapon counts as a tool for a fighter test and grants plus 1d to a test. Other notes and special abilities are listed by each weapon. For other weapons, see the other weapons table. So this is attack, defend, feint, and maneuver. Let's see if we can find something about light here. This is in spell casting. The Dungeoneer's Survival Guides, the next section. Starting out, the leader, the mapper. Oh, here is time and light. Okay, let's see what that says. Let's go to light. Okay, adventurers must have light to explore dark places, night-plagued valleys, dank caves, and dark dungeons. In the game, light is a resource that extends to a certain number of characters per source and is expended over time. Okay, extends to a certain number of characters per source and is expended over time. Light sources. There are 3 types of light sources referred to in the game: candles, torches, and lanterns. I was going to say, what is, okay, we do have time. I guess time is important over here. It's a vital component of this game. It determines how and when those supplies run out. Torchbearer tracks time with 4 different measures: phases, turns, checks, and lifestyle. A phase is the biggest measurement of time. There are 3 phases of play: adventure, camp, and town. Action happens in the adventure phase. This phase usually lasts 2 to 12 hours of game time. It is broken into turns. The camp phase is used to rest and re-equip. It usually represents a night. In order to utilize the camp phase, characters must have at least one check among them. Town phase begins when you enter a town and ends when you leave. It typically lasts a week, if not several weeks. In town, you get a few free tests, but otherwise you have to pay for what you use. See the town section of the rules for what happens in town. Winter is a special town phase. All players enter and leave a phase together. You cannot return to town while your mate finishes up matters with the dragon. You can't take a nap at the camp while your friends dicker with the Minotaur King. So turns. In the adventure phase, time moves in turns. A turn contains a test or a conflict, along with plenty of discussion, exploration, and roleplay. As the turn progresses, your characters grow hungry and weary, so be careful, because you need to keep yourself in peak condition if you want to survive. A turn is not a fixed amount of time. It can be a 10-minute skirmish or a night's watch. Turns are dynamic to help you keep the action moving so you don't get too bogged down in the details. Oh, hey, Dave. Glad to have you. Yeah, this one seems very interesting to everybody. Well, so there is a second edition. So Mike says because we're talking about that's on the digest size. So there is apparently a second edition of this game. I just went to the website and that's what they're selling. I wonder why I didn't notice that when I was trying to find it. Or maybe that's why it was so difficult for me to find, because I didn't know there was a second edition and was looking for a first edition or something. But there is a second edition. Okay. It says, don't split the party. If the party is split up, turns still pass at the same rate. Each test made costs a turn, even if the party is in 2 different areas. So turns are determined by tests. Turns aren't just time. They're a resource to be managed carefully. So a turn is like how many tests you get. A turn contains a test or a conflict. So like a fight, I guess. GM imposed tests and turns. There's always an exception. If the GM inflicts an environmentally based test or multiple characters are required to test individually. For example, you have to test a obstacle 4 health test because you've all inhaled a dose of sleeping gas. It only takes 1 turn. It's like a conflict in that way. Spells, prayers, and instincts. Casting a spell, saying a prayer, including reading a scroll, and using an instinct does not cost a turn. Okay? The grind. Every 4th turn during adventure phase, all characters earn a condition. If your character has no other conditions, you suffer the hungry and thirsty condition. I'm liking this. Yeah, there are definitely elements of this that I like. Every fourth turn, you got to track the turns, but a turn is not a set amount of time. Your character has no other conditions. You suffer the hungry and thirsty condition. If your character is already hungry and thirsty, then you take the exhausted condition. If you're already exhausted and hungry, take the angry condition. So that's what's going down. If you're already angry, exhausted, and hungry, you become sick. If you're already angry, exhausted, hungry, and sick, you suffer an injury. If you're angry, exhausted, hungry, sick, and injured, you're made afraid. If all 6 of these characters are checked on the 4th turn, your character dies. You unceremoniously drop dead from exhaustion. Okay, all right. Note that these conditions are imposed in a different order than the character sheet to better reflect the grind of life and to keep you on your toes. So they didn't order them in the same way. We saw those hungry and thirsty, angry, afraid, exhausted, injured, sick, dead. I want to know more about the conditions. Okay, so because there's little notes about them and what they do on the character sheet, but we'll get to that. Checks. Events in the camp phase are driven by players. The camp phase does not use turns and conditions and are not assigned as time passes. Instead, players spend checks they've accumulated during their adventure phase to make tests to recover, repair, regroup, and research. Tests in camp are slower paced than those in the adventuring phase. They're not moment-to-moment actions, but rather longer activities like cooking a meal, sleeping off your hurts, or drawing a nap. When you spend a check, your friends help you make your test, even if they don't have the check themselves. Checks are earned by using your trait against yourself, as described in the traits chapter. Once all checks are spent or discarded, the adventure phase recommences. Lifestyle. In town, time slides by a bit more easily. The more conditions you have to recover from, and the more errands you run, the longer you spend in town, and the more expensive your bills. This activity represents your character's lifestyle. There's a bit more about this in the town section. Better with making sense, just like real life. Yes. In general, recovering from hungry and thirsty, angry and afraid takes a few days rest. Recovering from exhausted, injured, or sick is a matter of a few weeks. Errands and personal business don't usually take more than a week. If you're ever in doubt about exactly how much time should pass, affairs in town always take longer than you'd expect. Light. Adventurers must have light to explore dark places, night-plagued valleys, dank caves, and dark dungeons. In the game, light is a resource that extends to a certain number of characters per scene and is expended over time. Light sources. There are 3 types of light sources referred to in the game: candles, torches, and lanterns. Each provides light for a number of characters and lasts a number of turns in the adventure phase. Candles provide light for 1 character and last for 4 turns. Torches provide light for 2 characters and last 2 turns. So this is a bit more generous than I was thinking before I had read the turns over here. So lanterns provide light for 3 characters and last 3 turns. Dim light. Characters are not completely covered by light or darkness. They are considered to be in dim light. Dim light counts as a factor in all tests. Again, I'm thinking factor must be like a penalty. Increasing all obstacles by 1. I guess that's what it is. Increasing all obstacles by 1, except riddling. Oh, call out to the Hobbit here. Candles create dim light for 1 additional character. Torches create dim light for 2. Lanterns create dim light for 3. So I like that. That's like a condition you're lighting instead of trying to map out, oh, here's where the torch illuminates and whatever. Okay, assuming you're together, you got 1 torch and you got X number of people, so these people are illuminated. If they're not, then they're in dim light or the darkness or whatever. Darkness. There can be no light without darkness. When below ground or acting at night, characters must have access to a light source to be able to function. In darkness, characters cannot read or draw and thus make cartography or scholar tests or map in any way. When in darkness, you must only flee, riddle, or argue if engaged in conflict. Darkness is a factor in all tests except riddling. Camp light. When you make camp, we assume you make a fire, which provides light like a lantern. In general, this should be enough, even if you have more than 3 in your group. You only add light if something happened during camp that required more illumination. If you require more light in camp, make a survivalist test to collect the provisions. Otherwise, light sources are not consumed during camp. Tossing the torch. Dropping a torch to free up a hand provides dim light for 2 characters, while everyone else is considered in darkness. Dropped torch, dim light for 2 characters, everyone else is in darkness. If a torch is tossed to the ground, the GM may snuff it at his whim, regardless of or in addition to other results. Setting down the lantern. Characters with a lantern in hand may set it down for any time to use their hands. Once it's down, it counts as dim light for 3 people. If a conflict erupts, the GM may decide the lantern is kicked over in the fray and doused at any time, regardless or in addition to other results. So, lanterns provide light for 3 characters. I guess that's okay. You're in light. If it's set down, it's dim light for 3 characters. Okay, here's our candle. Light, 1 person. Dim, 1 person. Last 4 turn. Torches, lights for 2 people. Dim for 2 people. And last for 2 turns. Characters, if you're in dim light, you're a factor. You have a factor against you. Fighting with fire, light weapons. You can use a torch as a weapon for in a fighting conflict. It provides no bonus, but you don't suffer a penalty for being unarmed. The torch is extinguished at the end of the fight. You can use a lantern or a weapon, thrown or melee, for 1 action. Like a torch, it provides no bonus, but does temporarily negate the unarmed penalty. After being used as a weapon, the lantern is broken, the light extinguished, whether you pass or fail or not. Night in the wild. Venturing out in the wild at night is dangerous business. Best to carry a lantern because forests and night-draped city streets are considered to be in total darkness. Moonlit fields and star-crossed towns are covered in dim light. Dark underground. Underground, all areas are considered to be in total darkness unless otherwise noted. I want to take a look at the... this is overcoming obstacles. This must be your tests. But let's where are my... we do have hit points here. We may have to look at conflict on another day. Here's attack, defend, feint, maneuver. Okay, conditions. Let's take a look at that. How much time we got? Oh, it has been an hour, but I want to take a look at conditions. Then I got work to do. To represent the toll of life as an adventurer, there are 8 conditions in the game. Fresh, hungry and thirsty, afraid, angry, exhausted, injured, sick, and dead. Fresh. All adventurers start their first adventure happy, healthy, and fed. This is the condition you want your character to be in. When you're fresh, add 1d to all tests. If any other condition is checked, you're no longer considered fresh, and the bonus no longer applies. This includes the hungry and thirsty condition received after the 4th turn of the adventure phase, even if you eat rations or drink water or wine immediately. To become fresh once again, you must return to town, alleviate all conditions, and pass your lifestyle maintenance test. Hungry and thirsty. Being hungry and thirsty can impair your adventurer when it's time for him to step up and face danger. He's distracted by his physical needs. Hungry and thirsty effect. Hungry and thirsty subtracts 1 from your disposition in any conflict. Recovering from hungry and thirsty. You alleviate the hungry and thirsty condition by eating or drinking. You can eat your rations or drink from your skin and instantly recover the condition without a test or a turn passing. Or you can test scavenger, survivalist, or hunter to acquire food or drink. You can use cook to prepare food and turn it into meals. In fact, hungry and thirsty is the only condition you can alleviate without a cleric's prayer or magical item during the adventurer phase. Family, friends, and mentors will feed your character if he calls on them, and they are able to help. Maybe even your enemy too. When these characters feed the player's condition, alleviate the character's hungry and thirsty condition. Certain accommodations in tavern and town are possible, provide food and drink, and thus alleviate this condition when you patronize these establishments. If you have no food or water, and if the test to acquire food or drink fails, the character remains grumbly and cranky until he acquires food and water. Angry. Life as an adventurer can be frustrating. Sometimes your only outlet is to rage against yourself, the others, and the world, or to the immortal lords. But surviving in dangerous worlds requires a cool head. When you're angry, you're not thinking clearly. You can't use the beneficial effects of traits or wises, but you can still use traits against yourself. At the GM's option, being angry can count as a factor in any test or conflict requiring precision or social graces. This never includes tests for recovery. In a versus test requiring precision or social graces, being angry gives you -1 success to your roll, such as alchemist, scholar, cartographer, cook, dungeoneer, manipulator, survivalist, etc. Mastering your anger requires an OB obstacle 2 will test during the camp phase or town phase. If you succeed, your anger fades. The condition is alleviated. Describe what you did to make the anger pass. If you fail, your anger sticks with you, but you may test again to recover the next camp or town phase. So, afraid. Adventurers are resilient, but sometimes things they face overwhelm them with terror. Afraid effect. While afraid, adventurers can't help or use beginner's luck. Recovering from afraid. We didn't know what that was, but all the skills had beginner's luck on them. Maybe that's like an automatic bonus or like a potential bonus to that skill. Recovering from afraid. Recovering from afraid requires a few minutes of peace in which to pull oneself together in the form of an OB3 will test during the camp or town phase. If the test is passed, the character masters his fear and alleviates the condition. If you fail the test, you continue to jump at your own shadow. You may test again to recover the next camp or town phase. Exhausted. Facing the uncounted dangers of life and the road takes its toll. Exhaustion can set in, and an exhausted adventurer jeopardizes himself and his companions. Being exhausted is a factor in all tests except circles or resource tests and tests for recovery. The condition effectively increases the difficulty of tests by 1. In a versus or obstacle 0 test, you suffer a -1 success penalty to your roll, including the disposition roll for a conflict. Fatigue can be shrugged off with an OB3 health test during the camp phase or in the town phase. If you pass the health test, you shrug off your fatigue and soldier on. If you fail the test, the exhausted condition remains through the next phase. You may test again to recover at the next camp or town. Staying in fancy accommodations like the hotel in town allows you to automatically recover from exhausted. No need to roll. Fatigue. Certain actions are considered more taxing than others. Using a shield, wearing heavy armor, casting spells, and suffering from certain spell effects. These actions make it more difficult to recover from exhaustion. Each counts as a factor on top of the base obstacle 3. Your character sheet contains a handy reference to these factors so you can check them off as they come up. All right, so injured. Let's look at injured. Oh, we got injured and sick. Okay. Now, let's keep going for a few minutes. So injured, we put our lives on the line every day and we're often injured for our efforts. Injuries are a difficult thing. They don't take us out of action, but they reduce our overall effectiveness. Injured effect. Being injured imposes -1D penalty to nature, will, health, and all skill tests. This penalty is not applied to resources and circles, nor to will or health tests for recovery. Additionally, while injured, a character is at serious risk. At his discretion, the GM may apply the dead condition to any injured character as the result of a failed test involving the risk of physical harm. The GM is obliged to inform the player that death is on the line before they roll the dice. Recovering from injury, OB4 health to recover the pain and discomfort of injury during the camp or town phase. If the test is successful, remove the penalty and alleviate the condition. If you fail the health test, a character keeps the penalty until he finds the attention of a healer. Treatment for injury. To treat an injury, the healer must make an OB3 skill test during the camp phase or town phase. If the healer test is successful, this penalty is removed and the condition is alleviated. If the healer fails his test, the injury condition is removed, but health, nature, and health-based skills of the GM's choosing is reduced by 1D. Consult beginner's luck list for health-based skills. Erase all pass and fail advances for the effective ability or skill. I don't know what all that meant. But it said sucking it up. Alternatively, at any point after being injured, you can opt to have your character suck it up. Cauterize the wound with a hot iron and some wine and get back on your feet. The GM reduces a health, nature, or health-based skill by -1D, but the overall penalty is removed and the condition cleared. Erase all pass and fail advances for the effective ability or skill. I forgot that we have sick too. Okay, so sick. What happens when you get sick? Being out in the cold and wet, exposed to the elements, an adventurer is always at the risk of falling ill. It's important to eat right and keep warm and dry, lest you get sick. While sick, a character cannot practice, learn from a mentor, or advance a skill or ability. In addition, being sick imposes -1d to nature, will, health, and skill tests. This penalty is not applied to resources or circles, nor to will or health tests for recovery. Additionally, while sick, a character is at risk. At his discretion, the GM may apply a dead condition to any sick character as the result of a failed test involving sickness, disease, or poison, madness, or grief. The GM is obligated to inform the player that death is on the line before the character rolls the dice. Recovering from sickness. To fight off sickness, that requires an OB3 will test during the camp phase or town phase. If the test is successful, the illness phase and the condition is alleviated. If the will test has failed, the sickness condition remains until the character seeks the attention of a healer. Treatment for sickness. To treat a sickness, a character must pass an OB4 healer test during the camp phase in town. So like, similar to injury there. Also, we have similar to the, what was it? Shrugging it off? Sucking it up. We've got sweating out the fever. Alternatively, at any point after acquiring the sick condition, you can opt to have your character sweat out the fever, but this comes at a cost. The GM reduces a will, nature, or will-based skill by -1d, but the condition is cleared. Erase all pass and fail advances for the affected ability or skill. Dead is dead. And multiple conditions can apply. Multiple conditions can apply, but each individual conditions are singular. You can't be exhausted twice or angry 3 times. If you're angry, you're angry. So the grind, conditions during the adventurer phase. Every 4th turn during the adventurer phase, all characters earn a condition. If your character is not hungry and thirsty, you become hungry and thirsty. If your character is already hungry and thirsty, then you take the exhausted condition. If you're already exhausted and hungry, take the angry condition. If you're already angry, exhausted, and hungry, you become sick. If you're already angry, exhausted, hungry, and sick, you suffer an injury. If you're angry, exhausted, hungry, sick, and injured, you're made afraid. If all these 6 conditions are checked on the 4th turn, your character dies. You unceremoniously drop dead from exhaustion. Note that these conditions are imposed at a different order than on the character sheet to better reflect the grind of this kind of life and to keep you on your toes. Interesting. I like that the food and water and stuff matters in the dungeon. I really like that. I don't know how they're doing like overland travel, but there is definitely a lot that I like here because I want the equipment to matter. So the equipment has to matter if you're going to be tracking it, what you've got, and that should matter. And it seemed like everything that you had a point and a purpose. Right, the conditions are cumulative. Right, the conditions are cumulative. It's possible to suffer from multiple conditions at once if your character can be hungry, angry, exhausted, or any combination of any of the conditions, and apply the effects. If the effects double up for particular situations, apply both penalties, but the conditions are singular. Yeah, that's what. So this is. I think this is neat. I think there's a lot that I like about this. I like for the stuff to matter. Like, how often does food and water matter in the dungeon? Like, you got to track certain amounts in order to get someplace. But you can take some food with you into the dungeon. You can take some water with you into the dungeon, probably, and it matters. So I like that. What was the difference? I like the lighting also just being a condition. I really like conditions anyway. You all know. I like that. Using traits against yourself. We've seen that. I just passed by it. Anatomy of an adventurer. Skills. Oh, inventory right here. So here is our gear. So like water, 1 draught of water alleviates the hungry and thirsty condition. Requires container like a skin or bottle. Wine says when consumed, 1 draught of wine eliminates the hungry and thirsty condition or grants +1d to recover from angry or afraid. requires a container like a skin or bottle. Okay, so that it actually matters at that point. You've got rations fresh. Fresh rations are good eating. They're bulky but can be preserved to last longer and take up less space. Cost and inventory is enough for 2 meals. A portion of fresh rations can also easily be stretched by a cook to provide a meal for your whole crew. If you got to eat during camp, maybe you got to eat during camp too. Rations preserved. Pickled, salted, brined, dried, or smoked. Preserved rations don't taste great, but they're better than nothing. Cost and inventory is enough for food for 3 meals. Wait, now I'm curious. Okay, so during camp, like, because it talked about using water and wine to remove hunger and thirst, but that was saying food for the whole meals. Camp 82. Let's go on to check that. Making camp. Okay, let's take a look at what's going on in camp. While it's never truly safe in the wilderness or a dungeon, camp is a moment of respite for the adventurers. During camp, the players drive the action. The GM does not present new problems unless the players generate a twist as a result of a failed roll. So let's see. Mike says, yeah, not nearly as much as it should. In high fantasy games, I've never seen it come up. I think he's talking about like the food and water in the dungeon and stuff. Like, how long are you going to be down there? You got to think about it. So making camp. You have at least one check among you. You are not in conflict or immediate peril, and you have a place to rest. You can make camp. There are 3 types of camp: a typical camp, an unsafe camp, and a dangerous camp. There are 2 general areas in which you can make camp: the wild and underground. When you wish to make a camp, the location is usually self-evident based on your environment. You're either above ground or you're under it. If you're staying at the mouth of a cave, take shelter from the elements. That's usually a wilderness camp. But if you're completely enclosed, that's an underground camp. Typical, unsafe, and dangerous camp. The GM decides what type of camp you're in based on a few elements: the area and its inhabitants, the unpredictability of the weather or similar activity like earthquakes or flooding, the proximity to monsters, goblins, and beasts, known and unknown, the type of scouting and precautions you took setting up your camp, and any amenities which you have found or constructed. This is a pure judgment call by the GM. Most camps will be typical for their location, but if the GM feels you're close to a patrol route, that's unsafe. If you're out in the weather, that's unsafe. If you're camping in a crumbling undead-infested ruin, that's dangerous. Roll for camp events. At the beginning of each camp phase, before spending checks, the GM rolls 2d6 on the appropriate camp event. So camp events are over here. You earn +1 bonus to this roll if you use the survivalist skill to find a suitable site or try to make the camp more hospitable, or if you are an elf with the wilder benefit. Only 1 bonus applies. Safe camp results. If you roll a safe camp, there are no further events at camp. I see safe camp over here. So like typical wilderness camp. 7 to 9, safe camp. If there's another result, consult the subchart for that camp type. Disaster results force you to break camp immediately. You may not rest, and all checks are lost. Inconvenience or break. The other results are use other results as inspiration or relief from the trial of camp. Pop quiz. The individual camp events leave a lot of room for interpretation. When something odd comes up, roll with it. It's the GM's job to call for tests out of a single victim, call for tests or single out victims for calamity and sort through the chaos. Camp strategy. When you enter camp, take a deep breath and zoom out a bit. Discuss your conditions, your checks, and any other circumstances. Make a plan for how best to deal with your situation. Then tell the GM that your character what your character does and roll some dice. So spending checks. Checks are spent in camp phase to recover, re-equip, and rest. Each test costs 1 check. You can also spend a check to initiate a conflict with a fellow adventurer. Spend your checks to recover, improve your camp, find food and water, draw a map, make tools, research or read books, debate the course of action, create scrolls, pray for the other acts that may be, pray or other acts that may be accomplished in and around camp. You cannot spend checks to explore or fight monsters. You cannot make 2 tests in a row in camp. You may share checks with other players. Mike says, sort of the rules around camps that I expected for this game. I also really like this. I mean, this is good. What we were looking at EAM, and it had some camp rules, as well, But I like this better. I like this better. That wasn't, it was there, and the traveling is there. I'm wondering about traveling too, like overland travel in this game. Unspent checks or law. You must have some kind of number on your character sheet or something that you've got. Camp instincts. Using instinct in camp does not cost a check. Camp traits. You can use your traits to help yourself in camp. You cannot use your traits to hinder yourself and earn checks while in camp. Spells and prayers in camp. Spells and prayers do not require a check to cast in camp. Rememorizing spells and powers. Magicians and elves automatically rememorize spells at the very end of camp. All checks are spent. Breaking camp. If players break camp too soon as their checks are expended or discarded, a GM takes over the adventuring and the adventuring phase recommences. If returning to the adventure, the GM should have an encounter or problem prepared. Camp rests turn count. Time does not pass in turns during camp. The turn camp resets in camp starting at 1 for the next adventure phase. So we've got camp events, typical wilderness camp, typical underground camp, unsafe wilderness camp, unsafe underground camp, dangerous wilderness camp, and dangerous underground camp. Underground camp events, natural cave. Use these events if the camp is in an underground natural cave. Like, for instance, cave in, run, one adjacent area obliterated. 3, torrential rain on the surface causes a flood. Foul air. Oh, this is natural cave disasters. Yeah, this sounds bad. Monster predator attack, foul air. Dungeon minor break. Natural cave lucky break. Natural cave minor break. So wait, what do we got here? Okay, so like you can have your results over here on this first one. There are 2d6 tables. Yeah, they're tables of 2d6. So like here's our first right here, if you can see. So this says like typical underground camp. 2 is disaster. 3 to 7 is minor inconvenience. 8 to 10 is safe camp. 11 is minor break. 12 is lucky break. So something good can happen to you, but not like you can't ever have a lucky break in a dangerous underground camp, for instance. So what is a dungeon lucky break? You find a secret entrance into another section of the dungeon. You find a prisoner bound and gagged in this area. You discover the entrance to a lost sunken temple to the goddess of life. Heal sick or injured conditions immediately. One of the flagstones is loose. Beneath you finds a treasure. Roll on the loot treasure. Okay, so some good stuff can happen to you. I like that too. We've got town too. You know, a lot of this actually reminds me of the Warhammer quest as well. I like having the phases. You know, where are you? On the adventure, camping, in town. Like, where else are you going to be? And then set up rules for that actually matter. Okay, well, there's a lot more. I've got stuff to do, though, so I've got to get out of here. But this was really great. I really enjoyed hanging out with you today. I will be in touch. I will be in touch. Everybody have a great day. Go forth, be creative, and be constructive. I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to launch. I don't know if I'm going to launch on a Sunday. That's a great question. Mike says, are you going to be ready to launch Sunday or launch date after that? I'm not sure if I'm going to want to launch on a Sunday. No, but I'm thinking around there, you know, so, but I might not want to launch on a weekend. So we will see. But then it would be next, like Wednesday or something. I want to go ahead and do it because there's a lot to do. But all right, later, everybody. I will be in touch. See you Sunday here for this next live stream.